Good morning, everybody. The ambassador, the permanent representative of Switzerland, will address a few words, and then we'll take 2 questions. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues from the press. Switzerland welcomes the adoption by the Security Council of this resolution on the protection of humanitarian and UN personnel. We are very touched and humbled by the strong signal of support for all the humanitarian actors and UN personnel out there, risking their lives to help others on a daily basis. I think it is a clear sign of hope and, as we have seen again in recent weeks, a necessary message in favor of the respect for international humanitarian law. We would like to very warmly thank all Council members for their support and all the many co-sponsors of this resolution, another clear testimony in favor of the protection of humanitarian and UN personnel and their centrality in humanitarian action. Before the Council, I just mentioned Lorena Perez, a 38-year-old ICRC physiotherapist from Spain killed in 2017 in Afghanistan. I also mentioned Komo Dioma, a driver for Doctors Without Borders from Burkina Faso, shot and killed last year in the northwest of the country. Sadly, I could have mentioned so many more. They are human faces to figures, but the figures themselves are telling and devastating. Today, there are over 120 armed conflicts around the world. Millions of people are suffering and need humanitarian assistance. Yet, violence against humanitarian and UN personnel is on the rise. In 2023 alone, more than 250 humanitarian personnel were killed. Hundreds were injured or kidnapped around the world. Over the past 10 years, the number of humanitarian personnel targeted has increased by more than 50%. National staff constitute the vast majority, more than 90% of those affected. Our aim with this resolution is to give back the responsibility to where it belongs, to the states and the parties in conflict. They have to respect and protect the men and women who commit themselves every day to helping people affected by armed conflict, independently of it is in Gaza, Ukraine, or in Sudan, or elsewhere in the world. The text builds on previous UN Security Council resolutions and updates them in key areas, protecting all humanitarian, UN and associated personnel, including national and locally hired personnel, their premises and assets, addressing new threats facing these personnel, such as disinformation, tackling the lack of accountability, asking the Secretary General for recommendations on measures to prevent and to respond to attacks, ensure accountability, and to brief the Council on an annual basis. In preparing of this resolution, we received a lot of support and guidance, especially from the elected members of the Security Council, but also from the humanitarian actors. I would like to warmly thank all of them. For Switzerland, with its long experience in humanitarian aid and its commitment to the protection of civilians in conflicts, it is an important milestone. We mark this year the 75th anniversary of the Geneva Conventions, the cornerstones of international law. Universally ratified, they are more relevant than ever. In order to save lives, their implementation is essential. And never forget, they are a reflection of our common humanity. I thank you.
Thanks, Ambassador. It's Margaret with Voice of America. You talk about giving back responsibility to the states and parties to the conflict, but in essence, aren't you asking the perpetrators to police themselves? So what consequences, you talk also about accountability in the resolution, accountability and impunity. So what consequences will the Security Council impose on states or parties to conflict that kill aid workers and civilians?
Thank you very much. The accountability obligations are with the states, are with the parties to the conflicts, and there is a lot of measures to hold them accountable. So it's not only the Security Council, it's all the elements we have in international law, in international humanitarian law, to implement what we have in the Geneva Conventions and in all other relevant documents with obligations for parties to a conflict, but also the states who are hosting the UN, for example, or the national procedures in the concerned states. So there is a lot of measures and systems and mechanisms there. And we are asking the Secretary General to make some suggestions within the next 6 months what the Council can do to strengthen all those mechanisms which are in place. And we are looking forward to having that discussion, including with the Secretary General.
Time for one question. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Yuya from Kyoto News Japanese Media. So my question is about Gaza. What do you think about the offensive in Rafah? What do you think about the offensive in Rafah by Israel army? And then one more. So what do you think about the ICJ order to stop the offensive in Rafah? So, thank you.
So let me make it very clear. This resolution is not about one context in particular. It's for all humanitarian workers all over the world. And of course, the high number of civilians and humanitarians who are killed in Gaza are part of that resolution and the concern of that resolution. When it comes to the latest order of the court, you know that my country, and we have had consistent positions as much in the Middle East discussions as on courts, but this is a very fresh court order, so let us maybe first look at it and then comment it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.